Welcome to Make Ready TV, where the world's most experienced firearms professionals can train you one-on-one. I'm Matt JACQUES.
And I'm Kaylee Jeans. In our tactical training section, we're going to go to Travis Haley and learn about manipulation on the AK platform rifles.
Then we're going to go talk to Massad Ayoob, who's going to go over some concealed carry basics.
And in our tactical shotgun segment, we're going to my dad, Bill Jeans, and we're going to learn how to load a shotgun.
And then we're going to get a couple of pro tips. We're going to start with the Silver Fox, Tom Yost, and Bob Vogel, both world champion shooters, and then we're going to move over and talk to Dean Caputo.
For now, let's go to Moss and learn about some concealed carry.
You start looking at the hardware and the support equipment for concealed carry. You've got to look at the basics. Comfort, it's going to be on you the whole time. Concealment, the whole rationale of this is keeping the gun discreetly concealed. Accessibility, if you can't reach it in time, what was the point of the whole thing? Finally, security. You can get a holster that lets the gun come out so fast that if you lay down for a couple of minutes to nap on a couch, the gun falls out and ends up on the couch behind you. You don't necessarily need a safety strap, like on this one. You do need something that fits snugly and securely. Comfort, we're talking all day, every day. Remember, you do not know where the attack will come. The more the gun is on you, the better you're protected. One of the whole fallacies of this is, I'll just carry the gun when I'm going someplace dangerous. A professional would tell you, kid, how about you just don't go dangerous places? The professionals on the other side are going to try to take you someplace that you think you're safe, by definition. A lot of folks, particularly those with extensive budgets, will splurge and get a matching carry set. The belt mated to the holster, mated to the spare ammunition carrier. There's nothing wrong with that. That guarantees that you have stuff that fits, that the holster is snug on the belt, the spare magazine pouch is snug to the belt, etc. One of the curses of being a firearms instructor is the students will come in with a fine pistol, but they've got it in some crappy-ass holster that it looks like somebody skinned a chicken and tanned the hide, or maybe, some piece of nylon that the brand of the holster should be Fruit of the Loom. You see them try to draw the gun, the holster stays on the gun, they're up somewhere around mid-rib cage before a gun and holster separate, and it's a pretty sad and ugly thing. A mated holster and belt will keep that from happening. You'll also see people come in with the three-figure holster and the expensive pistol. The whole thing is on some little narrow soft belt that looks like the words, its institutional memory is probably the words attention Kmart shoppers. And now gun and holster once again fail to separate and the equipment fails to do its job. Now the mated holster, belt and all of that are pretty cool, they look cool. They're great for the barbecue at the gun club where you're carrying a fancy barbecue gun. But one thing I always consider when buying a new holster set, if it's going to be concealed and nobody's going to see it, does it really matter how it looks? The fact is you can get by with mixing and matching. Right now, for example, I'm wearing a pretty eclectic set of stuff from 3 different makers and made of 3 different substances. The belt is the Wilderness Instructor belt, heavy-duty nylon. One advantage to it, it's silent. It doesn't squeak like new leather does. And with the Velcro adjustment, we're not looking at the incremental adjustments between the tongue of the belt and the buckle. What we're looking at here is you can get it exactly to the 1/10 of an inch where you want it on that particular day with that particular holster. The spare magazine pouch, it's not even Kydex, simple plastic. This is the inexpensive pouch that's sold by Glock for their magazines in the different sizes. It's amazingly efficient, particularly for its price. It's quick, it's accessible, it rides snugly to the body, and it stays open for the reinsertion during, let's say, a tactical reload. The holster is traditional leather. This one is a number 5 by Ted Blocker with a thumb braid. One thing I like with the leather holsters is when you draw, you can do a silent, surreptitious draw. You don't get that scraping sound of the Kydex. Every now and then, you're going to be in a dangerous situation where you want to sneak that gun out without anyone hearing that you're getting ready to fight back. And leather can be an advantage there. So basically, don't pick a given brand because it got a good review in a gun magazine, or you know, it's the Gucci of its kind. Remember, it's going to be concealed. Ideally, nobody's going to see it. There's no prestige factor involved. What you're looking for is the performance, the comfort, the concealability, the ready access, and the security.
Make Ready TV is brought to you by FNH USA, Smith & Wesson, TNVC, and Pro Ears.
There's some great tips from Massad. A couple of things that I agree with wholeheartedly. Good belt, good holster. That's a must-have for a rigid platform for a concealed carry holder. And the other one, don't buy a holster made out of a barnyard animal, I guess.
Yeah. And we all heard that old song, "It's my party and I'll bring my fancy barbecue gun if I want to." Massad. Up next, let's go to Travis Haley from Haley Strategic about the AK platform.
Let's talk about managing the Kalash, whether it's 7.62 or 5.45. This is a combat weapon system, and I need to be able to understand how it recoils and how to use it. Specifically, it's a battlefield pickup for you military or contractor guys out there. Basically, what you're going to see in typical Russian manual of arms, or Soviet or other countries that use these, is a very basic traditional stance. And this is pretty much it. I have a high stock in the shoulder. I've got a good cheek weld on the sight for that sight picture here, specifically on these lower sloping stocks on an AK-47. And then I have basically the underhand grasp on the forearm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to engage. I'm going to put some weight into it, just like I would normally be taught to do it. I'm going to fire about 10 rounds in this 8-inch circle here at about 10 yards. Okay, so when I fire those rounds, watch what happens in recoil. Now I'm going to try to fire them as fast as I can. Okay, you can see how I'm bouncing back. I'm really blowing back. I even got one really low shot there just because of a overcompensation. But typically when people use this stance, they'll be all over the place. Now this translates way out at distance, okay? This small cone of deviation I have right here is an 8-inch, 10-inch group. Now obviously I can shoot much tighter than that, but not with this stance. I'm really trying to keep that recoil to a minimum. So I've got to become that rigid recoil abutment for this bolt to cycle against, okay? So I got to put my body behind the gun. So that's what we're going to do now. So I'm going to go from that traditional stance, and now where I'm a little bit bladed because of what the stock and the gun makes me do, I'm going to actually turn my chest towards the threat, or towards the target in this case. So all I'm going to do is turn my body. Now I am straight in line with the target, but look where the muzzle is. I'm over here now because I'm back in that natural position. So do we force the gun over? Well, this feels a little bit uncomfortable, okay? So when I come over here, being uncomfortable, let's just take the gun out of our shoulder for a second. Move our shoulders over here, place it back in. So I'm placing, notice where my elbow is. It's not down here anymore because we have a path of least resistance here. This elbow bends. So let's get rid of that path with the 7.62 gun. Let's rotate our hands up a little bit higher, a little bit more forward on the gun. And that's why you always see me wear at least a glove when I'm running an AK, because it will get hot, specifically if you're putting a lot of rounds through it. So I want to roll the gun, roll my thumb. Okay, if your sights are in the way of your thumb here, or if your thumb's in the way of your sights here, well then you can modify it a little bit. If you're running other types of optics that are higher up and you can get away with that higher thumb grip, then it's just value added because you're controlling the machine more. Okay, we don't want to control just this little bit of wood. We want to try to control it all. So again, that's what I'm doing. Notice also, when I roll my thumb upwards, watch what happens to this elbow. It moves it up. So it gives me more mechanical leverage on the gun. You can see I have the set tension in my forearms. I have a set tension in my elbows, and then of course all the way around the gun. Now this shoulder's still not back where that recoil is going off of my shoulder. I am behind the gun. My body's taking the recoil. Okay, so if I was even to fire like this, it would stay put. I'm just now putting a hand in here for added support. Fire control hand, is the last point of contact on this side. Same set tension over here. We're torquing these wrists. Torquing the wrist like we're shooting a pistol with the control hand or the support hand. That torque helps manage the recoil. Just like if you're golfing, you've got to torque the shaft on the golf club in order to get a proper alignment when it hits the ball. If you don't, and it's kind of a loose grip or it's a bent grip, you're not going to hit the ball. So that's what we got to do here. We've got to hit that ball. We've got to torque that gun down just like a handgun. Now I have control. Now let's talk about the rest of the body, moving down into the core. So what you're looking for in core pressure, or how much you should tense up, is about 15%. So if you're to tense all the way and then relax to about 15%, that's what I will typically shoot at under duress situations. And I train to that through scenario-based training, or when I go out to the range like this, I will be cognizant of how much tension I have on the, and especially in competition, I'll be cognizant as I'm moving and shooting now. So same thing. Where are our legs? Well, we know that our legs do lots of different things. They move, they bend down, they squat, they kneel. You may be laying in an urban prone position or something where you're on your side. In that case, where's shooting come from? It comes from the upper body. So we've got to have our upper body solid around this gun no matter what position I'm in. Whether I'm leaned out, my legs are now doing something else. Whether I'm squatted down, my legs are doing something else. Okay? So lots of different positions will dictate nothing with your upper body. It all stays the same because again, they're doing something else. But if you could get in that perfect position, what I'm looking for is shifting the weight in the balls of the feet and a slight bend in the knees. I'm trying to create that shock absorber like on a tank, in a tank barrel. Okay, when the tank is rolling and the tracks are doing this, the barrel's not doing anything. Okay, I've got a perfect absorption. I'm not too rough where both of them are moving, and I'm not really relaxed where the barrel's just banging into the tank when he's doing 40 miles per hour. So I'm trying to replicate that here. That's the perfect world stance. But obviously we know that in combat situations it's never a perfect world. So that's why I really want to concentrate on this upper body and manage the recoil of this gun. So now let me run this gun as fast as I can with this stance. Okay, so now you can see how much more that's managed. The gun comes right back down to where I want it. My body's set, I've got the tension, I'm calling the shot easier, where if I've got a relaxed traditional stance, I can't call those shots. I can't call them and correct them fast enough because the gun's not settling fast enough. So I need the gun to settle so I can have faster follow-up shots. That's why we use a modern combat style fighting stance with the Kalashnikov series of weapons.
It's a good tip from Travis. You gotta have a solid platform, whether it's an AK or an AR. If you're not solid behind the gun, it's gonna walk all over. Now, let's go see your dad, talk about shotgun stuff.
Definitely. Let's talk about loading a shotgun.
If it isn't loaded, it's not a shotgun, it's a ball bat. All right, we've got to get ammunition into the thing, and we want to take care of our ammunition. We see lots and lots of ways to stuff ammo in the gun. If you do it differently than me, that doesn't mean that your way is wrong, it just means that it's different. Mine is predicated on maintaining good quality ammunition in good quality condition. I want to get the gun loaded and unloaded safely, and we want to get it loaded and unloaded safely and not mess up the bullets. Administrative reload, I want to get the gun charged up and ready to go, all right? When we handle ammunition, there's a problem with taking a vertically oriented object and putting it into a horizontally oriented magazine. So what we did is tray the round. When I pick the round up, I want to pick it up in this manner. I have the business end toward my index finger. I have the brass end toward my pinky. Now my ammunition is in a horizontal mode. Right? I also want to load this gun as much as I can without looking at it. Okay? In a tactical world, I want to know what's going on out there, not so much what's going on in my hands. All right? I come up under the gun, find the trigger guard. It's usually in the same place. Follow the trigger guard forward, the round goes up into the loading port. Roll my thumb back and seat the round. The first round goes into the chamber immediately. Verify that your safety is engaged so nothing bad happens, okay? Subsequent rounds I can now feed in at my leisure because I've got the gun charged and it's ready to go if something bad happens. Okay? End of shift, end of problem, for whatever reason I want to unload the gun, all right? We frequently see people, unfortunately, in the law enforcement community, take the weapon and simply cycle it to dump the ammo out on the ground. What's wrong with this? There are a number of things wrong with that. One, that primer will make the round go off. If it happens to land on a pebble or something like that, you could have the round detonate in the middle of the parking lot. Not going to kill anybody probably, but not a good thing. The other thing is I have in my possession, not with me, some dummy rounds that I've been using for probably 15 years. Okay, your head on the cartridge case is made of brass, right? The extractor is made of steel. You run steel against brass long enough, what's going to happen? If you pick those rounds of mine up at this point and run your finger around the brass, it feels like a little circular saw blade, right? If one of those little spurs happens to get long enough, it can bind on the inside of the magazine tube, and now you've lost every round that's in front of it until you can take the cap off the mag tube and clear it, right? So take care of your ammunition. Don't throw it in the dirt, don't get it wet and muddy, and don't cut spurs on the brass. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to treat it gently, okay? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a finger, or in my case, since I'm pretty small-handed, 2 fingers behind the slide. I'm going to press my release the slide, and extract until I pinch the finger or fingers between the forend and the front of the receiver. At this point, I'm going to pinch that slide back a little further until that round starts to crown. And then I'm just going to lift it off the carrier and put it wherever I'm going to put it. Now, before I pull the slide the rest of the way back, releasing the next round in the magazine, I want to push the shell lifter up with my pinky. And I'm going to keep that finger in there, pull the slide the rest of the way back, and it feeds the next round right into my hand. The reason for this is because I don't want the primer on the round to spring back and hit the back of the loading gate, or the loading port. That primer gets hit hard enough, it will go off. If that round hits just wrong and happens to go off in your hand, this will be what we refer to as a significant life event. And I'd be willing to bet money you won't ever want to do it again. Keep the finger up there, let that round feed into the palm of your hand, and it goes away, okay? Inside the receiver here, on each side, there's a little piece of spring steel. Those are your shell latches. There's one on the left and there's one on the right. On the 870, the one we're concerned about is the one on the right. I'm going to reach up there with my thumb and I'm going to press that thing in toward the wall of the receiver. It will feed all subsequent rounds out into my hand until I look, touch the magazine and the chamber and make sure that that weapon is unloaded. Make sure the safety is engaged and I can now go out about my activities and do whatever I need to do.
Significant life events. Those should probably be reserved for weddings and anniversaries and stuff. Not a shotgun shell going off in your hand. Remember, shotgun loading is a slow and deliberate process. Don't rush through it. It's unsafe.
Definitely. And Matt, if there was ever a definition of deliberate slow loading, it was my dad anytime a guy came to take me out on a date. Those poor boys.
Fair enough.
Anyway, let's go to our pro tips.
The Make Ready TV Pro Tips are presented by Battle Comp Enterprises.
You need to maintain the equipment you're going to rely on, either for self-defense or competition. Typically, I respring my guns after 5,000 rounds for recoil springs, striker springs. I go by factory spec is what I do. But I also, when I pull the guns apart, I look for any wear spots on it. I make sure I lube it properly, clean it. When I'm at a competition, if I'm dropping a magazine in the dirt, I'm not going to use that mag until I've stripped the rounds out of it, clean that magazine, make sure there's no pebble stuck in it, and it's good to go again.
Okay, when you've finished a course of fire and you get the command to unload and show clear, from a safety standpoint and what the SOs want to see is something like this. First off, you want to take out your loaded magazine, and you still have a loaded round in the chamber, of course. What they want to see for safety reasons is you to actually just let that round drop to the ground and grab it back here just in case it would detonate on the ejector when you come out. Then drop the hammer and holster.
Your 1911 pistol has a unique advantage over other weapon systems that don't have thumb safeties. Obviously, this is a proprietary thumb safety. If the weapon system got into unauthorized hands, someone would have to know to actually maneuver that thumb safety off in order to fire it. This is an advantage in a number of situations. Also, when using another type of weapon system that has a thumb safety, like an M16, there's commonality of training in regards to always manipulating that thumb safety and getting in the habit of it. When you're using your thumb safety, one of the things you want to remember to do is ride that thumb safety so that you know what condition it's in. I do the same thing with an M16. That way I always know what condition it's in. Now, obviously there's all different controversy as to how you're going to grip the weapon system, whether you're going to go thumb on thumb, thumbs forward. There's all different kinds of theories as to how to do that. But one thing you want to remember and maintain is riding that thumb safety. Again, another current controversy with the thumb safety is, when do you remove it? Do you remove it as soon as you remove the weapon out of the holster, so that if you're maneuvering around in a low ready position, you have the safety off? That's not how I train. I always keep the weapon system on safe with my thumb on the thumb safety so that I'm ready to go until I need it. Now some people, again, let me just check the chamber, some people have an issue with that, but from a low ready position with my thumb on the thumb safety, whether I'm doing thumb on thumb or thumbs forward, I can raise the weapon up, release the thumb safety, and fire the weapon in plenty of time.
Make Ready TV is brought to you by Brownells, the SIG Academy, Rand Innovations, and Corbond.
Matt, another great show.
Absolutely, great tips from some great guys.
Say, why do they call Tom the Silver Fox?
Did you ever see any of those old kung fu movies, late 70s, early 80s? One of the main characters is the Silver Fox.
Oh, got it. I think. I don't know. Anyway, for more one-on-one training with our instructors, either via streaming video or DVD, check us out online at makereadytv.com.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. And remember, train smart, train often, victory first.
The Make Ready DVDs are available from Brownells.com.
It's chapstick. It's not.
It looks pink.
You gotta rub it in. It's red. It's Dr. Pepper. Like that.
Mike's still there. We're right here, dude.